Alright, so pretty easy question. Is the race for top 4 for Chelsea already over after 4 games? Now you might call me crazy for already making this type of conclusions, but I'm asking you, the viewer, the question. Answer that in the comments below. I'll try and make my point throughout this video. Now if you don't know what's going on right now in the Premier League, the table looks like this. Man City 12 points, then Tottenham and Liverpool, West Ham and Arsenal all have 10 points, Brighton 9, Crystal Palace 7, Brentford 6, Nottingham Forest 6, Aston Villa and United 6 as well, and then 12th place, Chelsea FC 4 points, 1 win, 1 draw, 2 losses. And so of course, now the questions start because we are in the international break, lots of time to reflect on these 4 games, actually 5 if you take the League Cup game as well. What have we done actually? Have we seen some improvements from last season? Now some might say, yes, we are dominating the game, more possession, more chances created, but also more chances missed. So what exactly has changed besides the fact that we spent a boatload of money on inexperienced players? Well, to be honest, nothing. Nothing. Our team is now a team of, 90+% inexperienced players. And by inexperienced, I mean players that have been playing at the top of their game for, I say, 5 years or so. Nope, none of that in our team because, we've seen some reports already come out. Maddison, James Maddison, right? Ex-Leicester player, current Spurs player, who, by the way, has started extremely well. Mauricio Pochettino apparently was a big admirer of Maddison, but apparently the higher-ups at Chelsea thought that him being 26 years old doesn't really fit the profile that they're looking for. Strange. 26 years old. I mean, throughout the history of football, 26 years old was actually peak levels for a footballer, or at least the start of the peak levels. So not being the type of profile that you're looking for, what do you mean? Goal scoring, creative, assists, experience in the Premier League. Is that not something that we're looking to add to the team that is already struggling to win, to score, to create chances? Pretty strange, right? I mean, and if you look at the way we've been through this transfer window, most of the players, extremely young players from South America, from other leagues, but players that clearly have not a lot of experience on the European scene, whether it's Champions League, whether it's Premier League, international level, you name it. And then, if you look at the profile that is Maddison, and then you look at the profile that is Cole Palmer, because Cole Palmer was a last-minute signing, whether you like it or not. Some would say, oh, but we've been monitoring the situation there for a while, blah, blah, blah. Cole Palmer, yes, he is young. He's had a couple of Premier League games under his belt, played a good Community Shield, played a good Super Cup as well for Manchester City. But he does fit that spot that Maddison could have filled. And yet, we did not want Maddison for some reason or another. Apparently, it's the 26-year-old thing that was an issue. Now, Cole Palmer, right? Last game, Nottingham Forrest. Let's talk a bit more about that game. Because top 4 really depends on whether or not we can get 6 points from those smaller teams. No disrespect, but a team like Nottingham Forest at home, right, at Stamford Bridge, this was an easy 3 points. Since their promotion, I think they lost 20 games away, if that's even possible. I think that's 100% of their games or something like that. So, of course, we had to give them the 3 points. But coming back to the top 4 situation, we will probably lose away at City, away at Liverpool, away at Arsenal, you name it. So those points are already lost. But to make sure that we're not stuck again in the bottom half of the table, we have to go get those points against the smaller teams, especially at home. This has to be a 100% win, not a game that we go into with, and I'll slow down now, Malo Gusto, Disasi, Silva, Colwill, Chilwell, Caicedo, and Enzo. That's 7 players out of 11. And then, of course, you can talk about, Sanchez is a goalkeeper, so we're not counting him. Gallagher, is it a super attacking player? Not really. So we went with 7 defensive players at home against Nottingham Forest with only Jackson and Sterling as our attacking options because we're a goal-scoring team, right? We score 10 goals a game, so that's why we only need 2 attacking players at home to play against Nottingham Forest. We basically went into that game so we don't lose. And guess what? We lost. I don't know about you, but I've been following Chelsea for a long, long time. I remember the days when we went to the games to win. Not to try and not lose. Yes, of course, there is that Champions League tie with Jose Mourinho. We go there, try not to lose. Okay, fine. When you want to get that draw or that point or that qualification, you can talk about that. But when you play against a team that has not won an away game in a long, long time, you go there with only 2 attacking players, with 7 defensive players at home. There's no excuses. Now, of course, there have been excuses. I give them patience, lots of injured players, etc., etc. I'm sorry. But when you spend so much money, there is no excuse of patience. There is no excuse. I don't care that we have 7, 9 players that are injured currently, crucial players, non-crucial players, you name it. We had 2 months to organize a winning team. We spent so much money in the last 12 months, and yet we went for Sanchez from Brighton as a goalkeeper, and then we got a goalkeeper that nobody heard of from the MLS. That's one thing. Then, we are now in the Premier League with just Nicolas Jackson as our striker. Maybe after the break, Broha comes back. But are those the options that will bring us top 4, that will bring us Champions League football, that will bring us trophies? Of course, there is Nkunku, but I don't really see him as a striker. You can see him as a striker, I don't. But after spending all that money, is that the team that we wanted to have? And then look even behind that. Where's the attacking threat? Where's the danger? Where is the experience? Thank God Sterling plays well this season. Thank God, because otherwise we won't even have 4 points right now, to be honest. So coming back to the question, is top 4 still a possibility for Chelsea? To be honest, right now, no, I don't think it's a possibility, and I don't think it was a possibility at the start of this season. If you look at the other teams, if you look at the players that they've brought in for the amount of money that they've paid, I mean, they've done good business. What have we done? Maybe invested in a player that might be good 2-3 years from now. Well, guess what? If 2-3 years from now, we're still not in the Champions League, we're in deep... I'll be honest. We're going to be in deep trouble. I mean, look at Liverpool, for example. Huge refresh in midfield. McAllister, good price, good player. Szoboszlai, maybe expensive for some, but still worth it in my opinion. Because I don't even know why we didn't go for him. Maybe he was a bit too old, right? Not young enough for Burley and co. Luis Diaz, of course, not from this summer, but Luis Diaz, another great player, good price. Why can't we get these type of players? Gravenberg, good player in my opinion, especially if you look at what he did at Ajax. Bayern was just a bad move for him. Declan Rice for Arsenal, right? Declan Rice was been linked with Chelsea for a long, long time. Was exactly what we needed also. No, we don't need him. We'd rather buy more expensive players with less experience. Worked out perfectly, right? No, it did not. I honestly don't understand what is happening behind the scenes at Chelsea, but of course, as always, if there is things that don't go the right way, it will always be much easier to point the finger at the manager and not point the finger at the big team behind closed doors in the offices, that is upper management, recruiting, technical sporting directors. All of those people are to blame if we can't get anything going this season. But of course, like I said, it's much easier to blame one guy than a whole team of incompetent people that have literally no clue about what they're doing. Now you might say, what do you know? You're just talking to a camera here on YouTube. Why don't you own a football club? Well, to be honest, if I owned Chelsea Football Club, the team would be much different. We'd had experienced players in our team, players that would have an instant impact, players that can score goals, that have a proven record of scoring goals, of creating chances, and we'll have young players in the team as well. Because, hey, it's not that difficult to do. A team with a lot of experience, you mix it in with younger players as well. At the end of the day, we're not running a charity here. This is not the Make-A-Wish Foundation where kids can come and play at Stamford Bridge and like, oh, I'm earning 100k a week. Great. No, with the fans, pay for merch, pay for tickets, pay for TV rights or whatever, to watch them on TV, pay for TV rights, I wish. And yet, we get to see absolute garbage week in, week out. Sometimes you need to stand up and say, enough is enough.